They let me do whatever the I wanted on Drawn to Death. And it wasn't good. It literally had a mechanic where you could put a monkey on your back, feed him a banana in real time, and then he would shit it out. And the longer you charged the shit, the more chances you would have of having a powerful shit that had homing. I had a woman with huge tits mixed with a shark that was one of the playable characters. I had a frog that was an alcoholic, and he was constantly talking about his obsession with masturbating, and he hated the player. If you were spending a lot of money, you have to adapt your art to make your money back. And so if I want to make the video game version of Diary of Anne Frank, I think, let's say you have a really good angle. Cool. But I've never been one of these guys that says, run off now and get pissed if you don't get to spend 80 million, 400 million on it. If you want to make it for $2 million, cool. If you're at a studio that wants to also make games that are prestige games and blah, blah, blah. 100%. Read your audience if you're trying to make money for somebody back. There's no doubt in that. If I was working at Sony and I was overseeing that game, I would say, unless Neil is like, look, I get it. This is hopefully a rip-roaring kind of adventure game that has a little bit of pathos. Maybe he's like, dude, I got it. We actually do have a character customizer, or the better you do, the more her hair grows. I don't fucking know. But I would certainly say, if not that, I don't want us to do this character. Not because there's anything wrong with her, but because you do need to go, hey, you're spending $400 million to make this fucking game, if Sean Layden's to be believed. And so, I agree with you. Some people that don't think like we think we might have disdain for them, but their money still spends. And it's a business, and you should be talented enough to be able to build your own art satisfaction that gives the game a sense of heft and meaning, while also making a commercial product, because every other commercial artist in the world is asked to do the same thing. That's what I would say. No, I don't think common sense has been lost in many AAA developers. I think you've got a bunch of studio executives that got scared, as they should have, after 2020, going, wait a minute, you mean we're a terrible group of people? We assault people? We don't hire diverse people because there are some people who are knowingly or not racist? The CEO probably fucked 20 people, at the Christmas party. Who knows? And they corrected as they should, but it came at the valuable thing that an oversight executive does, that it says, we can be better, we need to be better, we need to be more fair, we need to be more diverse, but we are also running a business. So we're not making sexist games. We're not going to make things that insult people just because they're not unless they're evil in the game. But we are business, and if we're spending this kind of money, we're making mainstream, it's for everybody. And maybe you can put some art in there, but if you really want to make art, we do games like that too. But you're not spending $400 million. That's what I think. And I think if you don't put guardrails up for your creatives, they are going to do exactly whatever the fuck they want, as they should, because they're creative. Who would not do that? I don't blame the developers. I blame the executives. I blame the executives that look at Dragon Age and didn't step in and say, wait a minute. First off, this is not Dragon Age that the audience has been sold. Now, if you want to make this, you can put it through the greenlight process, see if you can get a pitch for an original game, but this isn't that. I love Dragon Age Veilguard, one of my favorite games, but that's a different point. It's not relevant to what I'm saying. But to say that your art style feels goofy, your writing is a little kind of on the nose and young and not great. Not all of the writing. I thought there was some great plotting in that game. But in terms of character and dialogue, that's an executive's job to step in and say, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? And to say, you guys absolutely make this queer friendly. Make sure that it's at worst, it's not offensive. At best, if you want to, put in some of your views about the world and marble it into the art, great. But you're spending a lot of our money, which means you can't be so on the nose with it. This is just normal executiving when you're a good creative executive. And that's where I think the problem came from. It's not, developer. Hell, they let me do whatever the fuck I wanted on Drawn to Death. And it wasn't good. It literally had a mechanic where you could put a monkey on your back, feed him a banana in real time, and then he would shit it out. And the longer you charged the shit, the more chances you would have of having a powerful shit that had homing. I had a woman with huge tits mixed with a shark that was one of the playable characters. I had a frog that was an alcoholic, and he was constantly talking about his obsession with masturbating, and he hated the player. So I was proud of it, but none of us stopped to think. We did focus tests, but nobody ever pulled me aside and said, I love this angle, I love the energy, blah, 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 but you're probably going to be going a little too far here, and people aren't going to get it as sort of a, you're both making fun of this but embracing it, and so you probably either need to dial it back or find a way to be more clear. And we got nailed for it. It's one of the reasons the review, not the only reason, not the main reason, but one of the reasons the reviews are so fucking low on that game. George Lucas, the worst thing that ever happened to George Lucas was, he got so successful that nobody could tell him no. And that's the other thing. Snail X says, what did the focus test say about the shitting monkey? Exactly. We did that too. We did a bunch of focus tests. We were terrified of, is this actually funny? Is this actually good? We did focus tests in America, and everybody came back. We love the humor. We think the humor is great. Don't change it. Okay. Then we said, yeah, but we got to do well overseas. Let's do focus test over in the UK. We did that. They came back. No, the humor's great. So I would say again, you're an executive. You need to eat that shit sandwich, because whoever's running the focus group stuff at Sony, at least when it came to us, and I would say maybe the same with Concord. I wasn't offended by Concord. I thought the gameplay had some really well done stuff in it. But I think certainly the fact that those characters made it through that far and they spent that much money and nobody recognized these problems, I think that's a real problem. Whoever's running focus test at Sony, if it's the same group that did it, or the executives that oversaw it with Drawn to Death, maybe those are the people that need to be called into, to I guess who at this point, Herman's office, and go, what are you guys doing? Because you're letting us fucking down all the fucking time. Imagine you were an exec and you intended to say to the team what you're telling us now. How do you think they would receive it? I don't care after they've run the asylum. No one runs the asylum. If you can almost, march Connie Booth out of Sony, if you can say goodbye, Sean Layden, after all these people have done, Jim Ryan, after all these people have done for this company, I assure you, no one's worried when it comes to saving money and making money about, oh no, what happens if we upset some of the people on the Sony Santa Monica team? So what? That's the job. That's the job. Didn't you guys talk about the target audience when you were designing Kratos? Not really. In my mind, the only thing I knew was our audience would probably reject the traditional kind of dude who looked like this, who had the cloak and the sword and the shield and sandals. I was like, we can't do that. We're in the world of Solid Snake and we're in the world of Doom, and there's no way your average gamer at the time that was like early 20s, late teens male is going to give a fuck about this dude. And that's why it took us a very, very long time to arrive at something that still felt like it fit in the period, but was also, something that we felt could actually carry a franchise. So that was very much a goal we were chasing, 100%.